Oh, them gremlins. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I'm your host, Lala, international real estate agent. And today we're diving into a topic that's bound to spark some serious debates. Should a girlfriend be allowed to whoop her man's child? When it comes to discipline, every family has its own rules and its boundaries. But this question takes it to a new level. Some say a girlfriend stepping in to whoop a child shows care and authority in the relationship, while others argue it crosses a line, especially when the child's biological parent is still involved. Now, we've got an incredible panel here today to weigh in. We have Marlo, our TV and film producer. We have Joe Corley, licensed therapist, mental wellness coach, and educator, and Athena Gardner, CPA and wealth coach. We are still in the beginning of January, and I am loving my panel. Hello, panel. Listen, this is going to be a really good conversation because I have things to say, and I'm pretty sure that y'all got things to say too. Now listen, audience, family, we would love to hear your comments. This is not a talk at you show. This is a talk with you show. So go ahead, put those comments in. We're going to check those out as well. And let's kick it off with the actual video before we start the conversation. Here we go.
You're not his mother, and you're not his father. Javon, why are you letting this happen? I get a call from Quan on his iPad talking about your little girlfriend hit him. For what? What so you hit my son for?
In the situation. Let me be the woman in the situation. First of all, hey, how you doing? Hey. You're gonna greet me like you got some sense.
I don't gotta greet you.
And that's why you think I gotta greet the way that he acts, and why he gets smacked up and down when he's in my house. Because clearly you have no home training from your own mama, and somebody should have beat her behind for the way she raised you, because you need your behind beat for the way that you raised him.
Come beat my behind and get out the car.
Hey, no, man.
Get out the car.
Get
out the car.
Too much. Shawty, we
Don't
about to
hit
go.
my son.
I'm a real one.
Nah, we about to go.
Talisa, whatever your name is, don't hit my son.
You're raising her feet. And you're raising a disrespectful little rascal, honey.
Since you know everything, what he stole?
Honey, he's taking money out of my bag.
Honey, he gets that from Javon. That's what Javon do.
From my
That's what Javon do. That's what Javon do.
My man don't
Stop
got
that.
You don't listen. That's why she had to hit him last night. You don't listen.
Okay, so there is a lot to unpack there. Look at Joe. Joe's already done. All right, so I'm going to start with you, Joe. I'm going to pose this question to all of you, including our viewership. Should anyone other than a parent be allowed to discipline a child? Why or why not? We're starting with you, Joe.
You say discipline, you mean like physically discipline?
Yes, physically.
No. The answer is no.
Why or why not?
I don't necessarily think that, your own parent whooping you is effective. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with that, but, there's just too much evidence that shows it's not the way to go. So having someone who is not your parent and you possibly more than likely don't believe loves you, putting their hands on you, and you as a parent allowing someone to do that is going to cause more damage than anything. So it's going to just have long-term damage and break down relationships. So that's my why.
I think that's a good why. How about you, Marlo? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm with Joe. Don't hit the kids. Don't hit other people's kids. Children have brains. They can think. They can process. Now, listen, I'm not above a little quick pop for correction. You are out of pocket, pop, get back, right? But in terms of like beating a child and like a whipping, like standard whippings, like I got my ass whipped when I was a kid. Nah, we ain't doing that. Don't do that. Leave them kids alone and talk to them like they're humans so that they can learn a thing called conflict resolution.
Right. And kids are not as people think that kids don't pick up on that stuff. Their kids are smart. They come out the womb now walking. They don't even crawl no more. They put their heads up. They're ready to go. This is different times. But how about you, Athena? What do you think? Should anyone other than a parent be allowed to discipline a child?
No. And as someone who has a step parent, my father made sure that he was the only one that disciplined me. So I don't think that anyone that is a step parent, much as a girlfriend, and we'll go into that deeper, but I don't think nobody should be whipping other people's kids like that. No.
And my comment is this. First of all, the whole situation in this situation is absolutely crazy. You got the dad already spanking the child in the back or doing something with the child back. You got the out of control girlfriend. But I'm going to tell you right now, had Hyde been that mother, she would have been snatched up very quickly. You don't put your hands on my child. We don't have an understanding. You ain't even a step parent. You are some wild woman at this time. This is probably a temporary girlfriend. Keep your hands to yourself. That is not your job, and you should not be even thinking about putting your hands on my child, which, by the way, my son is 38 years old as of today. Happy birthday, baby boy. And he knows I got his back. Now, I want to look at some of these comments because they are pretty off the hook. So let's see what social media has to say. Chronicle Speak says, my anxiety has just gone through the roof. I was waiting on her to get snatched out the window. Lana says, the way she would have gotten snatched out that window so quick. Phew, I'm glad this is not my story. And Jay Nickstar said, how do you look 12 and 52? That one got me on. Sincerely, Kuida says, I really hope this is a skit. It's terrible either way, but for that baby's sake, I hope this is fake. That's right. I saw. It's nice that she saw that from the child's view. Sparkle says, when she said he be getting smacked up, I knew it would be that had to be fake because she wasn't snatched out that window. And Tweeting Spark said, the audacity that this is happening online. Whoa. Okay, now this one, hold my earrings. That would have been me. Y'all would have had to send bail money. My mama would have snatched her through the keyhole, not the door, but through the keyhole. And then someone said, this has got to be a prank. And Blessed Diva 1 says she's got to be waving her hand and talking a little too long because she would have been snatched. So far, we're seeing people kind of agreeing with this. So Wolf Dog says, first off, hitting someone is never the answer. Second of all, it's against the law, so you're wrong on both accounts. You need to learn better parenting skills. People need to take classes on being parents before you go lay down making these badass kids all over the place. I said what I said. Call me boss lady. The girlfriend is out of line for hitting the little boy. Queen Lana said she was doing too much talking and not enough snatching. And then Steph said, end scene. Now, I'm actually going to go back to one of those comments that I feel like I would like to hear Joe's response to. He said that, that one of the comments said that no one should be doing this, that we should all be going through parenting class before we even take on being parents. And I would like to know your thoughts on this. And is this something that's being realistic?
Realistic is a strong word, but it is something that we should be doing. We should have more understanding about how to raise our children because a lot of us were taught the wrong way. Like some of us, like I see in these comments, a lot of us think that, you are the person you are because somebody put their hands on you. And I'm almost positive that's not the reason why, you stayed out of jail or you stayed out of trouble. There were other factors contributing to that, that involve different kinds of consequences. But even myself, I got whoopings growing up. I got mainly from my step parent. And my mother allowed that to happen. And as much as I love my mother, when I think about that today, I still have resentment for the fact that she let another man discipline me that way. So there should be classes. There should be classes to help us understand the long-term effects of that type of discipline. What we are dealing with ourselves, we should all kind of be able to process the way we grew up and the thought process we have behind putting our hands on our children. So yeah, I do believe that, now realistic, that's a far cry, but it's definitely something that should be happening.
I think we just need life adult skill classes altogether because they have taken so much out of school, even just basics that home economics, all that stuff. I mean, that's all involved in life experiences that we have. And I honestly just feel like we're not prepared for a lot of things that happen in life. And at least they could touch on a little bit of this and that. But I do like what Hit 23 said. If they all discuss this together and with the child in a very important situation, put them in timeout until one of the parents. It takes a village to raise a child. Now, you said one thing, Joe, that I want to get a quick answer from all of you. You've already answered, but you got spankings growing up. What about you, Athena? Were you spanked?
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yeah. What about you, Marlo?
Me and my dad had a conversation about that, and we came to the conclusion that that was just a waste of time. Because I still just did whatever I did. But yeah, I don't think it was like it made a significant impact as far as like changing my behavior, actually.
Yeah, so I think it also depends on the child a lot of the time, right? So Marlo, were you spanked as a child?
Yeah, I got whippings, and I'll be honest, I got a whipping for the same thing over and over again. And into adulthood, I still do that same thing. So that's how I knew once I got to adulthood, I was like, oh, this is ineffective. Because the one thing I ever got whipped for is the thing that I still chronically do. So yeah, and I didn't pass that on to my children. Like I said, quick bop, stop, sit down. But in terms of like how I had to lay across the bed and anticipate that belt coming, yeah, nah, that stopped with me. We don't do that.
Me, I was a sensitive child. I did one thing. I think I was 4, and my mom popped my legs. It wasn't even a spanking. It was a wake up call. Like, I'm talking to you, young lady, and that's all I needed. You did not have to give me anything else, and she knew that. She knew that my feelings were too sensitive for that, and so I was always considered the good girl. So, and I didn't do that with my son. But we still are going to continue this conversation because we got some strong opinions up in here. How about a commercial break? We'll be right back.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens. That's Queens. That's Queens to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes. If you want.
Yes, Queens, Queens to 87948. Now that way you'll get your notifications every day when we go live. I get the notifications and I'm on the show. So hey, if I'm getting them, you should be getting them because we are talking about some very important things. It's simple. Stop what you're doing and go ahead and do that now so that you don't miss an episode. Now, listen, I want to continue with this because there is a couple of comments. Like there's one person who said, oh, you guys are sick because, you're not supposed to put your hands on anybody. Well, guess what? You obviously been listening to the show. You came in and you just assumed. If you would have listened, you've seen that a lot of us here don't really agree with that. Right? So how about you pay attention before you start with those comments? And I would like to know, Marlo, does the role of a girlfriend differ from that of a stepmother when it comes to disciplining children?
I think that the biological parents should decide that, right? I feel like, this is obviously not a mature relationship, so they're going to always be arguing about whatever. But I think that girlfriend, if they live together, right, there should be some level of respect from the child to the adult. And the other way also, right? But it's up to the people in the relationship to set those boundaries. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like some people ain't, they're going to live together forever. They won't get married, right? Does that mean because there's not a legal bond that person shouldn't be able to tell that child something? I don't know. What I do know is that among the parents, there should be an understanding of what is and isn't acceptable.
And I totally agree with you. Conversations need to be had before anything at all. Like, I'm just going to say, since I'm a woman, if it was the man, I would say, listen, we need to have conversations about what is going to happen when you start dating. and have it clear. I mean, you shouldn't just assume, it's going to come. If you're not together at some point, people are going to be dating other people. But listen, I love this comment by Gail. She said, it used to be it takes a village, but the village is not what it used to be. I'd like to know your thoughts on that, Athena.
Listen, you already know how I feel about dusty people and dusty parents, and the dust proliferate everywhere. So, I do think there's something to be said about having a village. But when I even look at the average American dynamic, right, in the West, there's less multi-generational households. There's less, it's more of a nuclear family, and there's a lot of pressure on those two parents to uphold and support those children. So I think that is one thing that is something that we're not being able to benefit from because of how society is structured here. Much less if you are a single parent, whether it's a man or a woman alone doing it. I can only imagine how difficult the rearing of children would be in that situation. And I think that when we look at society nowadays and how everyone has all these dysfunctional, maladaptive behaviors as we're meeting adults, I think that a good part of that stems from the lack of support that we have from parentage and a village.
I agree. Now, I grew up in a village. Like, if I did something wrong down the street, I'm gonna tell you right now, every auntie would have had the right to spank these legs until I got home. However, like I said, I wasn't that child. If I did do something, then I knew by the time I got home that my mother would have heard it from 4 different aunties. So that to me was frightening enough, to know that, that my people that I love the most would see me doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So Joe, I would like to know, because you asked this when I first started the conversation. What is the difference between discipline and abuse?
Right. So discipline, I mean, actions have consequences, right? So, a lot of the times people are abusing kids or children, and it's really about them. It's about them trying to beat their own shame for their child's lack of, whatever it is they're lacking, or whatever their child is not doing. They're trying to beat the shame of them not instilling that in their children out of their children. And so that's not really a consequence. And like Marlo said, like, she got hit over and over again. It wasn't for doing the same thing. It wasn't about Marlo. At some point, it was just you're ashamed and you want to try to beat this person, beat the shame out of your child, and that's not effective. So, like I said, actions have consequences. So the difference is you have consequences for your actions. You're not going to get the privileges necessarily that you think you're entitled to if you misbehave or cross boundaries or violate your parents' boundaries. So that's the difference. It's flat out like you're physically putting your hands on somebody to invoke a change in them, and all you're doing is damaging your relationship with your child most times in some form or another. So there's a big huge difference. And this whole thing, like watching this video, like the main thing that's problematic about it is that the mother is saying you're not allowed to hit my child. The mother of that child is saying you're not allowed to hit my child. So we have a bigger problem than like stepmom, girlfriend, or whatever it is. If I'm a child, I mean, if I'm a parent and I've told you I don't want you laying hands on my child, and you decide to do it anyway, then we got to get the laws involved. I'm not going to pull you out the car and fight you like the lady was saying. We got a legal issue on our hands. This whole thing is really out of control.
Well, I think also, what are your thoughts on the father's reaction?
Yeah, the father, like I said, the father not having a conversation with his child's mother that we're going to allow someone else to put their hands on our child is super problematic. We have communication issues. They are already doing the lack of communication between them as parents trying to co-parent a child is already doing more damage than the step mom or the girlfriend putting hands on the child in the first place. They already don't communicate about raising their child. They're on different pages. So it's this whole scene is super problematic. And I believe, if I'm not, I heard the kid in the back was a kid in the car. So I mean, we're having this whole conversation, and the mom's talking about stepping outside so you can fight. I mean, it's all bad. It's all bad for that child. None of that is okay. If you are in the chat and you are condoning any parts of this behavior, something is severely wrong with you. I'm looking dead at the chat right now as I say this. Something is severely wrong with you.
I think I might need to lay down on your couch, Joe, because I'm telling you right now, I would probably have that reaction of wanting to put my hands on somebody over my child. But I think that has a lot to do with being a mama bear. I mean, it just is. I mean, even today, I wish somebody would. He's 38 years old. I wish somebody would. But Marlo, you mentioned like you were spanked before, but you continued to do that behavior. And Black Lexicon said he personally never saw spanking as a method to correct the child's behavior. It should be the absolute last straw. Are there any? And there are a lot of straws to exhaust. So you said you still continued with that behavior. So was that frustrating to your parents? Did they ever talk to you about that?
I mean, eventually it stopped, right? I think probably I was 10 or 11 the last time that I was got a whooping, as it was called, because I was a good student. I didn't cut up. I didn't do bad things. My mom had a thing about our house. We lived in a museum, and I wanted to be a free spirit in a museum, and it wasn't allowed. So that is where she and I did not meet eye to eye. And then eventually she got over it, right? Because she didn't want to ruin the relationship with me. She realized that this was just a part of my personality, and she was going to have to allow it to be and allow it to grow and evolve. So don't hit your kids, because it's no reason. Like it is literally, they have understanding. You can talk through them at a age appropriate conversation with your child about correcting behavior. But I guarantee you, if you think that fussing with your ex's girlfriend in the car while the kid is still flipping back and forth, still getting popped, nobody's still correcting the child's behavior, right? This is all about adults and ego and hurt feelings. And this, like Joe said, it's about something else. This don't have nothing to do with the kid. The kid is not getting popped because of his behavior, and the mom is not approaching the girlfriend because of the child's behavior. This has to do with grown people stuff that a child doesn't even understand.
And as you could see, the girlfriend obviously was definitely trying to get a rise out of the mother anyway. This is not about the child at all. This is about control. This is about, I was just damn near waiting for her to say, that's why I got your man. Like that's how the whole thing sounded to me. And so there is such deeper things to unpack. As I said, I was one of those children that was so sensitive that all you had to do was look at me crazy, and I'd be like, I'm going to get myself right back in this lane. But with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to continue this conversation.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
Get your money right. flynubianmoney.com. Listen, it's 2025, babies. And it's time to get your financial house in order. Now, listen, Christmas is over. I know sometimes we go a little cuckoo over Christmas and the holidays, but it's time to start really reeling it in and get yourself together. Maybe you went a little overboard. Maybe you need to see where you can start saving for next Christmas. Well, listen, we have a lot of resources for you, and all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com to download those resources. Don't miss out and don't become broke, because we all need to make sure that we are watching our financial houses. A lot of big changes coming. We don't know what that means, but as my mama used to say, you should always have your brow money. Okay, always have your brow money, right? Make sure that you have some put away and what you can do to help that grow. So Athena, now I'm going to bring this into play because we already kind of know that the whole situation sounded crazy, but should the length of the relationship determine whether a girlfriend can discipline her partner's child?
not only just the length, just the status of the relationship. Because if you're a girlfriend, that communicates to me that you in a temporary position. He don't know if you coming or going or not. He has not decided on you being any kind of permanent fixture in his life. Okay, like I said, being a girlfriend is a scam. All right, anyone that is in a girlfriend position, he has not decided that you it. So why am I supposed to give you some great respect when I don't even know if you're still gonna be here next week or not? He hasn't even made that decision on you, sweetheart. So now you popping my child. I don't even know if you even gonna be around next week. So that is the other aspect of it that I think is egregious to me, that you feel like you can do that. Because I always feel like the parents need to be the one to do discipline. And I know that is a big hang up, as in the dating situation. Everyone's like, okay, well, how am I going to date people with kids and I have no say so in whether or not I can discipline them or not, right? But if you are not even in the position of a wife or as a husband, you are just a girl, you are dating this person, I feel like the parents involved should be the one to manage that whole situation, the disciplining, the communication, all of that. Like, that's, you should not be involved whatsoever, because you do not know if you are a permanent fixture in this child's life. Now you don't know if you're coming or going.
That's true. That's very true. Marlo, you have something like you would like to discuss about one of our comments that says too real for I'm sorry, I got that name wrong. Too real for TVV. If you don't check your child, the system will.
This is a Black myth that we have to walk away from. I want us to grab hands together, and I want us to all walk away from this. The system will get your child if that's what they want to do. I have a lot of cousins that got their ass whipped a lot of ways. They got bopped, they got hit, they got belts, they got pops. You name it, my aunt was busting their ass for all levels of infractions. And they all still ended up in the system. When we were young, she would say to them that she was beating their ass so that the people wouldn't lock their ass up. They all ended up locked up except one. This is not the way, Black people. You're not saving your child. All you're doing is giving them an issue with authority. You are breaking down their understanding of pain. You are building a heavy pain tolerance in them so that when they do have these violent encounters with police, they only know one way to react. And you are going to be the target of they're going to react. So you're actually causing the issue, because when they react, they're not reacting at that cop. They're reacting at you. So this is something I want us to get the shovels, Black people. Let's bury this shit. This is a terrible thing we've been telling ourselves for a very long time. And I think we should discontinue it. You don't have to if you feel like that's what made your life. If that's what spared you from the prison system, keep it. But I know too many people for whom that was just not the case. And people still went to jail. So I think that Joe is the professional. I just make cute art stuff. That's all I do. Joe could tell y'all whether or not he believes that I'm tracking in the right direction with my complete disagreement of that comment.
And I want to hear your response, Joe, because I noticed that, that kind of made you cringe too. So what is your comments to that?
Yeah, Marlo's absolutely right. You know what I mean? Like thinking or believing that, like, you just take the prison system right now, all the men and women in the prison system that is locked. Do you think that those are the ones that didn't get their ass whooped? Is that what y'all believe? Y'all believe that all of these women and men is in prison because they didn't get their ass whooped? The system got them. Their parents didn't raise them right. Okay? These are not the factors. Okay? These are not the factors that determine whether or not your kid is going to prison or not. I guarantee you, if your kids are in good standing right now and you beat their ass, I'm guaranteeing that you did something else besides beating their ass that has them in good standing. There was more parenting involved with that, and that's just what it is. I don't even have to know you to know that. Oh, my kids beat my ass. My parent beat my ass, so I'm gonna go to college. Like that's not how that works.
As successful as Michael Jackson was, he said
oh. That's a really good point. Definitely, because we all know how they were beat.
That's why Tito was playing them bass lines like that.
Oh yeah, Joe was bopping. Joe was bopping them, but Joe played the guitar, and so Tito picked it up. He had something in him. Music was in them already.
Right. Well, I kind of cringe, but I think we need to watch this video again. For those who are just joining us, let's check out what this whole conversation is about.
You're not his mother, and you're not his father. Javon, why are you letting this happen? I get a call from Quan on his iPad talking about your little girlfriend hit him. For what? What you hit my son for?
In the situation, let me be the woman in the situation. First of all, hey, how you doing?
Hey.
You're gonna greet me like you got some sense.
I don't gotta greet you.
Hey,
And that's why
You
your
think I
son
gotta
acts
greet
the way
you?
that he acts, and why he gets smacked up and down when he's in my house. Because clearly you have no home training from your own mama, and somebody should have beat her behind for the way she raised you. Because you need your behind beat for the way that you raising him.
Come be my behind and get out the car.
Hey, nah, man. Hey, just chill.
Get out the car.
Get
out the
She
car.
doing too much. Shawty, we
Don't
about to
hit
go.
my son.
I'm a real one.
Nah, we about to go.
Calista, whatever your name is,
Stay
don't
behind in the
hit
car.
my
You're raising
son.
her feet.
Sit down,
And you're
boy.
raising
What
a
he
disrespectful
stole?
little rascal, honey.
Since you know everything,
And I
what
need
he
you to tell
stole?
him, honey, he taking money out of my bag.
Honey, he
Okay?
gets that from
He's
Javon.
taking
That's what
toys
Javon do.
From my
That's what Javon
Baby,
do.
my man ain't gotta
That's
say
what
nothing.
Javon do.
My man don't
Stop
gotta say
that.
Hey,
nothing.
see, you
Stop
don't
that.
listen. That's why she had
Stop
to hit him
that.
last night. You don't listen.
That's really hard to watch. It really is. I mean, it would be comical if it wasn't something so serious. And we're talking about a child here. So, Athena, how do you think a boyfriend should handle his girlfriend who disciplines his child without consulting him? Now, I don't think that's what really happened in this situation, but this is a good question. Like, should he step in and have that conversation, and then also with the mother?
Yeah, so is it Javon, who, whatever it is, he should have had a conversation with his girlfriend. Listen, guys, I know y'all like to move on with the quickness. All right, I know, y'all like to thought and bop and get a replacement real quick because y'all can't stand to be alone. However, you need to talk to whomever you're dealing with and make sure that relationship is clear and communicate that, okay, I have the discipline is going to be between me and his mom. If he's acting up or acting crazy, put him in timeout. Do not physically touch him. This, that, the third. There needs to be some clear lines of communication on what the expectation is, right? And me personally, like I said, if you are a girlfriend or a boyfriend, I feel like you should not be involved in any kind of disciplinary action with that child. Okay, if you ain't got no ring on that thing, okay, if they have you on a 12 years a slave timeline, that is your position. You do not step in and overstep any kind of boundaries because that person has not decided that you are going to be a permanent fixture in their life, much less their kids. So that is my personal take on that. Now, I do think that we have, because another element of this is like, okay, is she acting up or acting crazy because he moved on with someone new and she's like kind of in his phase because how you gonna let this new chick come and do all of these things. But I think regardless of that though, if it was me and I was and my ex had moved on and their girlfriend touch my child, I would have a serious problem with that. I would definitely have a serious problem with that. But I wouldn't even be having any conversation with her about it either. I would have it specifically with Javon or whoever, the dude. I wouldn't involve her in that conversation.
It seemed like to me he liked just as much as drama. I mean, he's spanking the child even in the video. And for me, even though there's elevated voices, the mom seems like she actually was pretty calm at first, and then didn't escalate until the girlfriend started with all of the hollering, talking about she's smacking the child up and down at her house. But let's look at some stats because I think it's important to kind of check out some things behind the scenes. So according to a 2023 study by Pew Research, 63% of parents believe non-parents, like step-parents or significant others, should not use physical discipline on children. And discipline in families. A CDC report found that 25% of U.S. adults were spanked as children, but support for corporal punishment has declined significantly in recent decades. And the impact of physical discipline on children. I don't know if very many of you all remember this, was when a mom wasn't letting her son riot, and she took him straight off the streets, and the police chief at that time praised her for it. An American Psychological Association found that children disciplined physically are more likely to exhibit anxiety, aggression, and behavioral problems as they grow older. A study published in the Journal of Family Psychology in 2021 states that physical discipline can damage the bond between children and non-biological caregivers. Now I'm going to pull back now because I want to discuss this in a different aspect as well, because we always talk about money, right? This is what we talk about. We talk about money, and part of money is also getting therapy, and that might be involved in what you have to pay out. Now, Joe, I'm going to refer this to you because obviously they all need therapy. So how does this look for them when it comes to the mental health aspect of this? Should they all be in therapy? Should this be something that should be included in any kind of parents that have divorced or not together? How does this affect us money-wise when it comes to mental health?
Right. So the rage in this video is like, there's a lot of unheard feelings, untapped feelings. You can see that, different parties don't feel like they've been understood, just based off what I'm looking at in this video. So this does call for a family session. Eventually that child is going to need some therapy regardless, just based on what I'm seeing right here and my experience with kids, working with kids as it is. But yeah, this is a family session where everybody needs to understand each person's perspective. Why are you getting elevated? Why do you feel that it was okay for you to put your hands on my child? I'm not okay with that. Okay, what is going on between you and my child, or you and my child's father, that makes you think this is okay? What's going on between me and my boyfriend and you, the child's mother? Like, what we need to talk. Okay. So yeah, the family session needs to occur, and then we get everybody's understanding of everybody's perspective and why things are so triggering. Then maybe we can do what's best for this child, because right now, all this conversation, from my observation as a therapist looking at this has nothing to do with that child. Nothing to do with that child.
I agree. And actually, so does a lot of people in our comments. Andrea said that I thought the video was staged until I saw that child in the background. Talk about trauma. Poor child, not the norm. And girlfriend was out of bounds. Boyfriend had no control. And with that, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
You obviously want to come on the show because you come on and you talk at us all the time. These comments today are all across the board, and you have something to say, and we would love for you to come and join us. So if you would like to be a guest on our show, please make sure that you send an email to info@realvirtual.net. Now let me spell that. info@realvirtual.net. ual.net. Now, here's another thing. You might have a business appointment or something and you can't join our show and you want to join us every day. We are on Spotify. You can stream us. So if you're taking that jog or you just missed it because of a meeting, all you need to do is go to Spotify, look for Fly Nubian Money, download it, give us 5 stars. That helps us get seen by other people as well. And you can stay up to date. So let's get back into this conversation because there's a good question I'd like to ask you, Marlo. So in this case, the father's name is Javon. If Javon lives with the girlfriend, and if the girlfriend financially supports the child, should her role in the decision making and discipline expand?
No, Javon is the daddy, right? They should have conversations about that. Let me tell you, I live in a situation. I live with my daughter and my boyfriend will be husband. I don't have no date, but it's the thing. But when there is an issue with my daughter, he talks to me, right? He has a friendly relationship with her dad, and we've had conversations where, oh, if such and such happened, I'm gonna just have to call her dad, right? Because that's the appropriate thing to do. Even when he is my husband, if she's still a minor child, it still needs to come to me. That is my daughter. I don't try to correct his daughters. They're adults, right? Don't overstep boundaries. Nobody, you didn't get in this relationship to get a new kid. You got in the relationship to be in a relationship and to support that person in what they are doing. The problem is people want to take on more of a role. She was saying something about her bag. I don't know, something about it's the bag. And the girl was like, it's Javon's bag. I don't know who the bag is for, right? But she was basically saying that the kid and his behavior are cutting into her money. I don't know how. I wish they would have gotten back into that a little bit more so I could have a little bit more context on that. But I think, at the end of the day, conversations, people. You talk to the person that you are in relationship with about where the breakdown in communication is with the minor child. And then the parent go back and talk to them. And in my case, if he tells me something about my daughter, I'm most definitely, after she and I have a conversation, no matter what the outcome of that is, she needs to go talk to him. She needs to go apologize to him. She needs to go clarify what was going on so that they could get back on the right track. And that's being an adult. Like, I don't, all this other stuff, this hooping and hollering and yelling, get out my face with that. That is silly. And that's why the little boy flipping from the front seat to the back. That's why Javon popping him. Javon even looked out the window and said, this how he act all the time. This why she popped him the other day. She still hasn't opened the door for her child to get out of the back seat and said, come over here by me since you keep getting popped in the back seat. So she don't even care about that. Her beef is with the 2 adults in the front seat. And, I wish we had not given this as much time because she gets on my nerves more than Javon's girlfriend's afro right now.
And that's true. And then now that also gives ammo for the child. Don't forget, children also know how to play it. So that when he comes home, after seeing that behavior, what do you think he's going to do if he's upset at the girlfriend or upset at the dad? He's going to say, Mama, guess what daddy did? Exactly. That and this whole system, this whole thing is just a mess. But I want to get back to some of the graphics because I think that there's some really good stats. So let's pull some more information. Here's a cultural perspective on discipline. In a 2020 study, 77% of Black parents said physical discipline was a normal and acceptable form of raising children, compared to 59% of white parents and 43% of Asian parents. However, African American families are increasingly adopting alternative discipline methods such as timeouts and positive reinforcements. Over 50% of Black children in the U.S. live in a single-parent household, making co-parenting and discipline by significant others a common issue, and that's from National Kids Count 2022. Research by the Step Family Foundation shows that lack of clear boundaries and discipline rules cause tension in 60% of blended families. Those numbers are pretty high. So here's some legal considerations around discipline. In many states, corporal punishment by anyone other than a legal parent can lead to allegations of abuse, even if done with the parent's consent, and that's by the American Bar Association in 2023. In 2023, over 40% of child welfare cases in blended families involved conflicts over discipline between biological parents and partners. Those are some really staggering stats. Joe, do you deal with families on these types of issues? And what are the most common things that you see in families that are at least willing to come in and get therapy about it?
You mean like blended families or just
Blended families.
Yeah, all the time, all the time. I have tons and tons and tons of clients like this. Especially when I do group therapy with teens. This is a very, very prevalent issue. Stepdad did this, stepdad did that, stepmom did this, stepmom. I mean, this is the type of thing that happens all the time. And what is the main factor involved is typically the child is just heartbroken over their parental situation not working out to begin with, and then you start having beliefs about who loves you and who doesn't love you and what love actually is, and it shows up in your behavior. So what are they doing? They go out and they having a bunch of sex, or they're doing a bunch of drugs, running away, or even worse, it starts become self-harm and suicidal ideation. These are the things that this type of stuff leads to, these type of disagreements. I'm not just saying it just to be saying it. Like, I've sat front line on several occasions and dealt with these type of issues, and I know where they lead. And it usually has nothing to do. I mean, these are children. They don't have, even as teenagers, they don't have discernment. They don't have control over their own situations. So that's the hard part about working with children, is because when you work with adults, you can you're choosing these things. you know if you don't change it, you're choosing it, right? That's what you can tell an adult. You can't tell that to a child. They're not choosing their home life. They're not choosing who they go to home to. They're not choosing the circumstances that are surrounding them. It's forced upon them. And that's why when I look at this, I get frustrated. My heart gets broken, because none of this, like I said, all time and time again, none of this is about that kid in the back seat. None of it. None of it is toward his betterment. They're not thinking about, well, we're going to make him better in the future. They're just thinking about what they're mad at, who they're mad at, and how they're going to take it out. I can hurt this woman by putting my hands on her child, and
Right.
it's just frustrating.
A part of the argument there was the girlfriend accusing the kid, who he could have been no more than 4. The child is a thief, and then the mother said, he's just like Javon. What are your thoughts around that, Athena? How do you think that sets precedent for the child hearing that, and then an agreement about seeing, oh, I'm going to be just like my daddy? A lot of times children look up. So these words are more powerful than what we know. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Well, my thought are this. So I don't think that parents should be talking negatively about the other parent and the child, right? So for the fact that she said that, you're going to end up just like Javon, or the child, implying that he's a thief and that he's fallen in line with his footsteps or whatever, I think that's very negative, and it shows a toxic dynamic between the father and the mother. That whole situation is just a whole toxic dynamic, and I really feel like we need to revamp our American educational system, and we need to teach life skills in addition to, reading and math and all these other things. Like, there needs to be conflict resolution class, just things that people need to know as life skills, right? Because not everyone is going to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, but they still need to be a part of a productive member of society. There's a collapse in our relationships and how we relate to one another. And even in these situations where you have children, which is so interesting to me, because especially within the Black community, I know George Fraser said it's projected that only 16% of us are going to get married eventually, right? We will take and hesitate so long on making that decision and yet have children with people we're not even married to. And children is more of a lifetime commitment than marriage. So I think that we need to look at this as an example of what not to do, and really evaluate, okay, what are we really putting into our children, and what is beneficial for us to do moving forward.
I think once again, we're right back to conversations, adult conversations. We need to be the adults here and not the ones who are out of control, especially in front of our children. That does not set the precedent. But Black Lexicon said, and this is a different thought, for a parent, crying is a more effective character correction for a child than spanking. The last thing a boy wants to do is make their mother cry. I'm going to ask you what you think about that, Marlo. What about that comment?
I don't know. I feel like that's a personality thing. I think that some people don't react to tears. I think that you do have to parent a child's personality, right? I have 3 kids, 3 totally different personalities. What worked for one didn't necessarily work for the other one. And so I think whenever we just look at the blanket, you want to just have a blanket solution, right? Whip all the children or soft parent all the children. You have to parent the child that's in front of you in the moment that y'all are meeting, right? Because there's going to be another moment where it's going to be too hot, or it's going to be too messy, or it's going to be too something else, and you're going to have to adjust. Parenting is about always adjusting. And if you don't believe that parenting is about always making adjustments, I understand why there are some of the conflicts that play out online that we see on a regular basis. I think somebody mentioned something about the child stealing. That's the kind of stuff we address head on. If my daughter was caught stealing, I need her daddy to be driving down here to sit down, and we need to have a conversation. Him and her need to have a conversation. Him and her there's a lot of conversations that need to be had, right? And I think people don't want to step up to the plate. Parenting is hard. Like everybody here is a professional, but if you have a kid, I would challenge you to say that parenting that child and trying to raise a productive human is not the hardest part of your day. Trying to manage their lives and make sure that their friendships are straight and navigating them through, difficulty. It's so much going on with parenting. And I think it's just silly, this whole idea and this concept, you got to beat the child. No, you got to understand the child. You got to know what's going on with the one individual child. Maybe he don't even act the same at home as he does out, but you still got to have conversations. Stop hitting these damn kids, because then they go home, they go to school, they hit my kid. Now I want to hit both of y'all. We all crazy.
We all crazy, right? But listen, you're not far off. Once again, what's the thing with this? Communication. It's all about communication. And why is that not such a simple solution? I have no idea what's wrong with people. Well, with that, we may answer that right after this break.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Constance Carter. Where am I? I am on a yacht in the Baltimore Harbor, and I am doing my 7-figure strategic planning solo, baby. I plan on having a 7-figure year. I partnered with the Fly Nubian Money, and we are putting together a training that's going to help you to put together your 6- and 7-figure ecosystem. Yes, there are things that you need to do, strategies you need to put in place so that you can implement and have a 6 to 7-figure year if you don't already have one. If you got a 6-figure year, let's go ahead and get you a 7-figure one. If you got a 5-figure year, let's get you a 6-figure. Let's get you there. Join me, the Fly Nubian Money Club, and let's grow your money in 2025.
You don't want to miss out. Constance is a wealth of information, and her energy is infectious. So you want to make sure that you sign up. Make sure you sign up at the FlyNubianMoneyClub.com, and you too can learn how to make them 6 and ship them figures, right? And she just has the perfect roadmap to do that. So that's this Saturday, guys. That's this Saturday. So you don't want to miss it. Go ahead, sign up right now so that you can get your head in the right space. And that's flynubianmoneyclub.com. Not net. Net.com. Oh, it's com. Okay, flynubianmoneyclub.com. You want to make sure you do that now. Okay, listen, I found this comment to be, I don't know how I feel about this comment. Joe, earlier in the chat, and I don't have the person who said it, but someone mentioned that our children are being raised as soft. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
It's a softer era, that's just what it is. I mean, I don't know how we define soft and not soft. I mean, they're dealing with things that we do not understand. Having somebody have access to you 24/7 for the entirety of your life, that's a different type of mindset than the one we grew up in. So, it's different. You know what I mean? I wouldn't call it soft or harder or nothing, but I listen to it on a daily basis, and the more and more I get to understand it, the more I realize that it's really taxing and it's very different. And I'm glad I didn't have to grow up in this era. I'm glad I didn't, because I don't want to deal with the stresses of what they deal with. And I saw another comment saying that mental health is overused right now, and I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. I understand that perspective, I really do. I hear it all the time, but I'm gonna say that it was underused before, and that's the problem. Like, all of these things that we classify as normal because we grew up in them, when you really break it down and be honest with yourself, bro, is they weren't normal. Imagine somebody who you love very much and you consider to be the one safe space in your life coming and just cracking you across the belt with a big thick leather belt, or a telephone cord, or whatever these things are. And this is the only safe space you have in your life, and never sitting down and talking to you about. I mean, some people probably did talk to their kids after beating them, but a lot of people just got whoopings and never had a conversation after that. You did this, so I'm beating you for it, and not understanding why what you did is wrong, or how scared I was when you did this one thing. As a parent, I'm scared for you. So for me to rectify that fear, I'm going to beat you instead of talking to you. And we classify this stuff as normal. So it's not overused. It was just underused back in the day. And if you really sit down, like I said, and be honest with yourself, you'll see what I'm talking about.
I agree. And different times we know better. I think a lot of the times many parents parented the way they did because they didn't know any better. They did what was done to them because they thought it was correct. But it's not too late for us to unlearn and relearn new behaviors for this future generation. Which, by the way, y'all, do y'all know what they call this new generation? Because it begins this year, Generation Beta. Who came up with that? That's some crazy. That's stupid. Don't call them that. Don't call them that. But I digress. Listen, this hour has gone really fast, and we have had some really good conversations. And let me tell you, before we move on to final thoughts, I want to take this time to say thank you to everyone who is watching. Without you, we don't have a show. But you always keep us on our toes. You come up with great conversation. We love having you here, and we are grateful that you are here as well. So we're going to move into final thoughts and where we can find you. And let's start with you, Athena.
All right, so I know a lot was said today. All right, should a girlfriend be allowed to whoop her boyfriend's child? I think as a panel, we came to a consensus saying no, that the parents need to work on conflict resolution skills and manage their child rearing, and the effectiveness of corporal punishment is not that great with kids. Okay. However, I do think that it also points to something that we need to come together as a community, because a lot of us do have blended household situations, because a lot of us have not been able to make it work together, and open up a stronger dialogue as to what needs to happen in order to facilitate functional and happy and healthy children and home environments, right? So I think that is something that we need to walk away with today. My name's Athena Gardner. I'm a CPA. Everything and information you can find about me at elevatewithathena.com. There you can find my social media, my courses and workshops, and my podcast.
She busy, y'all. She busy. What do we do around here? We stalk and chicken hawk. So make sure that you go and check her out at elevatewithathena.com because she has a lot of good resources for you. Joe, what are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
I don't want to try to convince grown people to do stuff they don't want to do. So if you feel like beating your kids or whooping your kids is the way to go, I'm not here to tell you any different. You go ahead and do what you want to do. I just have, tons and tons of research supporting the things that I'm saying, and I'm trying to help you the best way that I can. But you're going to do what you're going to do anyway. But I tell you what, when you do feel like you don't like it, when you are uncomfortable with the conversations that you're having and the way that you feel when you're doing these things, then I'll open my door to you. I dust off the couch for you. I spray a little bit of Lysol on there so you don't, no germs are being spread. And we just talk. We're just gonna talk about it because the reason that you're doing the things that you're doing is probably not the reason that you think you're doing them. And I just encourage everybody to just be honest with yourself just a little bit and recognize your behaviors that are unhealthy. Recognize the behaviors that are showing up in you that are unhealthy. Okay, that's all. That's all. And we're upset, we're angry, we're mad about a lot of things because we're a traumatized community. It's just what it is. We're a traumatized community. They say I saw a comment that say our ancestors survived it. Did they survive it? Did our ancestors survive it? You look at what we had to do to get through slavery, literally just wanting freedom and fairness and getting beat for doing things like reading, and then Jim Crow and the civil rights, all of these things that we survived and being passed down from generation to generation. None of this stuff was normal. We're a traumatized community, whether you want to accept that or understand it or not. I'm not going back and forth with nobody who's arguing that point at all. Okay? So if you're looking for me, realuconsulting.com. You can go in there. I did some tweaks to the website. You can book your session right then and there. Book you a session, book you a consultation. Come talk to me, man. These behaviors ain't normal, okay? I love y'all, for real.
I think he has a lot of wisdom and he knows what he's talking about. And he's got a desk for you to sit at and talk to him about this. And you are right. And Joe, let's not forget, they actually labeled us wanting to run away as slaves as a mental condition, like something was wrong with us for wanting to do that. What's so different between the corporal punishment? I digress. It's a good question. Marlo, give me your final thoughts and where we can find you.
My final thought is that illness that Lala just referenced is called drapetomania. If you want to look at it, look it up and learn what it is. Maybe it'll help you understand why you think that Black children are unusually unmanageable and need to be managed with corporal punishment. I think that what's good for every family is none of my business, right? I raised my kids the way that I raised them. When I was raising children in the mid-90s, people looked at me like, girl, you ain't about to, no, we about to go sit down and have a conversation. I'm not going to put my hands on them. I have a grown son, knock on wood, never been arrested. So break that myth of if I don't get him in line, the government will. He's in line not because he was afraid of me. He's in line because he respected me. And he was taught that he didn't want to go through life disappointing me because ultimately he's disappointing himself. The same thing with my two daughters that came behind him. So like Joe, I'm not here to tell anybody how to live their life. I'm not here to tell you how to parent your kid. But if you want to make a positive contribution to Black people and Blackness, this is something that we have to abandon. This is something that was taught to us. This is something that was forced upon us. Women were told, you need to get that boy in line before blah, 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 blah. And the best way she knew how to do that was to slap them, right? Whoop them, beat them, get them into shape so that they know how to act right. That is a form of madness that we have to stop. My name is Marlo Layson. I'm a professional journalist. If you're looking for me, I have content online that I've written. I've also have videos that I produce that you can watch, stories that I tell similar to the ones that we tell on this platform every day. If you like to follow me on Instagram, I am over Marlo. You see my handle right there next to my name on the screen. And I love y'all too. I love y'all enough to say that sometimes it's okay to step back and take 1,000-foot view at what's going on in your life and correct the things that are wrong. You ain't got to tell everybody, but making the changes, everybody will see. You ain't got to say a word. Thank you for being here, as usual.
And you definitely want to stalk her because she is on this journey, fitness journey, and we are all invited to take part of that. And guess what? We all can be cheerleaders on the sidelines to help her reach her goal. And if you want to know what that is, I guess you better go and look at her social media to find out. And here's my final thoughts. Listen. The world is changing. Just because you were taught one way to do things doesn't make it right. When you know in your heart of hearts there is something that isn't right about the way things are going in your life or the way you are doing things, and you do know, because there's always something tapping at you in the back. And there's always something that you said, I wish my parents didn't. When those things tap on you, you know that it's time to really take a deep look into that and to start taking care of that within you before you pass it along and your children are doing the same thing. Listen, we all have different journeys. I can't tell you what to do in your house. I know what was done in my house. I know what was done effectively for me. And I thank goodness that I noticed what worked for my child as well. And I'm happy to say that he's a healthy 38-year-old today. So just really stop and think and breathe before you act, because sometimes you can go way too far. And I have a lot of free resources for you too. And you can go check them out at bit.ly. Laura Key Info. I am talking to you about getting out of your box of thinking that you have to stay in the United States. I am opening your world to being a world citizen, because there is a great big world out here and you should tap into that. So go to my site and go check out some of those free resources. Get on my newsletter and I'll keep you updated about what's going on in Portugal. Right? But listen, before we leave here, I've got a couple of things just to remind you of, because you need a little homework. We always like to give you a little homework. Make sure that you definitely tap the words, the Queens, Queens, to 87948 so that you could be notified when we go live. Now, when do we go live? We go live Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you miss it, then go to Spotify and make sure that you download that over there and take us on the road with you. One thing I didn't hit is our magical email address, which is info@realvirtual.net. If you want to be a guest, if you need help with your business, maybe you got too much on your plate, you want to email us to see what we can do to help you build your business so that you can focus on more important things besides the smaller things that take up a lot of your time. But here's one thing I really want you to stress and know. When you think about Fly Nubian Money Club, according to statistics, 80% of people who set New Year's resolutions will quit this Friday, the second Friday in January. So January 10th, right? It's called Quitter's Day. It's so much known that it's called Quitter's Day. But because research shows that many people abandon their resolutions by then, don't quit. Don't quit. Come to the club where we can help you keep on track. Now, I'm honored to say that I was the first speaker. And if you join the club during our you have a free trial, you'll be able to go back and watch what I taught. But then you get the bonus of constants this week. So make sure that you sign up now. Don't be a quitter. If you get yourself on that beginning line, you're going to see the goal. So sign up now at flynubianmoneyclub.com. Listen, we had a fabulous conversation today, and this was an incredible discussion. So the topic of discipline is always tricky, especially when it involves a partner stepping in as a parental role. But at the heart of all this, the question comes down to trust, respect, communication between everyone involved. So whether you believe it's okay for a girlfriend to whoop her man's child or think it's crossing the line, the ultimate goal should always be to create a safe, loving, and supportive environment for the child. So I want to take this time to say thank you to you for watching, but also my super royal panel. We have Marlo, Joe, and Athena for sharing your perspectives, and thank you for joining the conversation. Until next time, which is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, stay mindful, stay intentional, and stay fly. Peace out.
Shout out to the Caribbean broads.